Please guide us and say the words that you would like us to say, Father. Please allow us to speak to the masses that you want to hear and let them heed your words and grow. This in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Hello, welcome to the Minds Unltd Media channel. My name is Dr. J. Duncan.
And my name is Jessie.
And on this channel, we break down mental health, mind states, and
possibilities.
And on this particular day, we are doing another episode of the Minds Unltd Podcast recap. This week on the podcast, the title was Making Space versus
Making Room.
And as you can tell, this topic is already a mind trigger, if you will. So, to help you guys kind of get caught up with what we were talking about, we're going to start this off with the queen of definitions, Jessie herself. So, Jessie, break us down with some definitions of space versus room.
Okay, so let's go with space first. Space is a continuous area or expanse which is free, available, or unoccupied.
That's what's up. Got it?
Cool.
Now we'll move on to room.
So room is, bear with me on this definition because we're going to break it down as we always do. So a part of the inside of a building that is separated from other parts by walls, floor, and or ceiling.
Okay then. That's what's up. So we got room. We got space. Now, when you first mention something like this, some would argue that they're interchangeable.
Always. That's why we do the verses, because these concepts or these words or these understandings can be
interchangeable. I feel that.
Yeah.
As I discussed on the podcast, even I, at some portions of my life, believed that they were interchangeable. I thought that, I'm making room, I'm making space. And I'm thinking that me saying that or when I do those actions, they're the same thing. But as we discussed, they might actually be very different.
And I think most of us know that they're different. And depending on the context, it's easier to tell when they're different and when they're not. Like if you're talking about like outer space, you're not calling it the outer room, like Earth's outer room. You call it outer space,
gotcha.
Right? Because you realize the limitless possibilities, right?
There you go.
But
spoken truly.
But then when you're in your house, most times you're going to call it a room because it's attached, right? Bedroom, bathroom, not bath space, bed space.
Yeah, that's what's up.
You know? Because the bathroom can only be used for one thing, right? It's not limitless like space is.
I love how you're using limitless in there. Because in understanding the limit, we actually see the divider between the two. So, like, in the world of mental health, we talk about personal growth. Now, when you talk about growth and you use it in a sentence, usually people say, I have room to grow. They never say, I have just space to grow, which actually is deeper. Space to grow means that I have to take initiative of the opportunity and create. So space almost attracts creation, while room attracts accommodation.
Ooh!
That's how I feel about it. That's
okay. Because, yes, space, free, available, unoccupied. Another part of this definition that I just saw is the dimensions of height, depth, and width within which all things exist and move. So that's also encompassing, like what you said, making space is taking your existence as you are now, but also taking into account the moving, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, initially, as thinking of like, when you think of room and whatnot, and I thought about this, I was like, what would be deep? Is when I think of ships, going back to our ships podcast, specifically.
Now, I don't know what they know about that.
Revisit the ships podcast, Minds Unltd Podcast. Check out the episode. It'll give you some context with what I'm about to go into.
Season 2 was the ships.
Okay.
So all types of relationships.
So within the relationship with others, I thought about what is one of the reasons relationships tend to fail or relationships are strained. And what I commonly hear is, where they're speaking of accommodation, which is more so room. So when someone wants a new person in their life, let's say that we're talking, I want you to be in my life, I'm like, okay, how much room I got, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm only thinking of the now.
Right? Because the minute you are like, ooh, I don't know how this is working, ooh, there's some tension, you say, I need what?
Space.
Okay.
Okay. Now, think about it like this. When you're making room for someone in your life, it's like saying, hey, scoot over real quick. I want them to fit here. Fit. In other words, this area was not meant necessarily for whatever's coming in. It just so happens I can make it work.
Correct.
Right? Versus when you want to prepare yourself for your soulmate or prepare yourself for this next promotion or something or whatnot, you are going to prepare. It might not already exist. You might need to cultivate an area. In other words, create space.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And if you think of the word area, think of math terms. Come on, engineer. Right? When you were calculating area, you're not just calculating the room between this line or this line. You need that to multiply to do what?
Yeah.
To understand
the whole space.
The space, right? So
yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And now, so here's where the interchangeable part comes in. Because you can make room in a space. Right? So if you have this unlimitless space, right, you can choose to make room. For instance, I feel like with people, possibilities are limitless, right? And so, but we still have rooms within our vessel. We have our mental, our mental space, but inside that mental space, there can be a depression room, right? There can be a room in which lies happiness, right? Then we have our physical space, right? Limitless. But we have, the joints room or, the muscles room. Yes. So I feel like if we think about it in terms of that, like we have all of this space and the rooms that we create can be a part of that. And the opposite also works, right? Because if we have a room, right, in comes something taking up space.
Yes. And I think that it's good that you point out the dynamics of us as humans. We're multidimensional. We exist with multiple hats on. AKA one would say we have multiple rooms. So if you think of yourself more of a house or a home. And homes usually have square footage. Square footage describes how much space a room has, not necessarily just how many rooms.
Okay, yeah.
Because you can have a lot of different rooms in different sizes, but still have a place with the same square footage, and it can be decorated a lot differently.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I think as far as in development, as far as growth, space actually hints towards future and past growth and reflection, while room is kind of, where am I at right now? What room am I in?
That's the exist and move part of space. Because that's true. If you're making, like you said, in a relationship or whatever, if you're making mental space, emotional space for someone or something, then you're expecting that to ebb and flow, to grow and develop, and to have ups and downs, and you are prepared for that space to be this continuously growing, changing, evolving thing, right? But if your room keeps every day growing, getting smaller, changing wall color, you know what I'm saying? Then that's a whole different feel.
Yeah. On the podcast, you actually mentioned feel, and as you talked about like art space and things of that nature. And that relates to me in my world of like mind space. So when people say, oh, what headspace are you in? Or what mind space? And as you mentioned, a feel or a mood, we don't necessarily just reference to room, and there's a reason why. Like she said, it can be used interchangeable, but I think it's all dependent on that person. Correct. If you understand both, you can say, I have a space with the room, or I have space in a room, right?
Yes, because room ready, we talked about it, is so, Oh, you ready to break this down? Because I think this. No,
I'm
not gonna rant. So let's just break this down for a second.
All right.
Definition of room: a part of the inside of a building. Now, if we take out the literal definition of building and put in ship, put in person, a part of the inside of a person that is separated from other parts. So your room in your space, right? That we talked about, that depressive room in your mind space can be separated from the other parts of your mind space by walls, floor, ceiling, by emotional walls that you put up, by you know what I'm saying? Like the invisible floor that you think you have.
The invisible line of siblings' rooms.
Okay. The ceiling, how high you think you can go in life, how far you think you can go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the separation.
Absolutely. Now, I think I love the way she transitions stuff, because I'd be like, all right, I want to give people something to do with information. And you literally just went into ceiling. So when we think of space, sometimes when we talk about this, we're only thinking of width. We're not thinking of height. And as you already defined it in the definition, but let's talk about those ceilings. Let's talk about the invisible ones for a second.
Yes.
Because there's invisible barriers.
Wait a minute.
There's invisible bubbles, safety space.
Yes.
But there's also invisible glass walls and glass ceilings and things of that nature that culturally we have to be aware of, period. But sometimes you're unaware of, but you keep hitting this thing. You're like, hold on, is there a wall? This room is different. No, the space. Once you get a hold of what, sometimes we need this to be able to name it or understand it. To begin, then we go, oh, this is glass. The second that you understand what is in your space, you understand how to break it or get through it, or what you can and can't do to it.
Yes.
So, from Dr. J. Duncan's perspective, and going with the I am possible, it is possible that you can embrace unlimited possibility once you understand what space you have. And then you can determine what you're going to get out of your room. Okay,
because imagine a ceiling and you can see it, right? Most of us can see the ceilings in our house, right?
I hope so.
You can see it. So that makes you feel like you're in a room.
Yeah.
Now, imagine that you feel like that ceiling is millions and millions and millions and millions of miles up. You can't see it, right? You can't see that far up. So all you know is you're going to keep going up until you hit that ceiling. If at this point there is a ceiling, that's when that room turns into space. The space to have unlimited possibilities.
She's an engineer, by the way. I just want to let y'all know. Like, if you didn't get that before, she's an engineer. So don't let smiles and stuff deceive you, because there are very beautiful engineers out there. See that plug?
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll take that.
I have room for that. Anyway, get back to the space, all right?
So that's where the space is what you make it. And that's where you're talking about recognizing what you have.
As we came to the Minds Unltd recap, we're operating in this space, but it's two different rooms.
Yes.
Our mental health and mind states, we put that with possibility, now you have this conversation. So you see how it coexists, but it can coexist in space.
And
not
now
just
we created a space for y'all to come and enjoy this, right?
Indeed.
Limitless.
Okay. So I want y'all to embrace that limitless possibility and possibly hit the thumbs up. I do want you to create space to subscribe, and then there's room down there below to comment.
Okay. So let us know. Let us know in the comments down below, what are you all making space for? Okay. What are you making room for?
Indeed. Visit our website, www.mindsunltd.com, to see what else we got going on.
Follow us on social media.
Indeed.
Of course, I put our names down below. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Indeed. As always, the smallest change in perspective
can change your life.
Peace.